Okay, let me share my screen. Let me know when you can see it.
Yep, we can see it.
Okay, and I don't see any agenda for today. Is there anything? So, Zach, do you have anything you want to talk about? We can do some ad hoc stuff.
Yeah, I raised a PR that just had a real short blog post that linked out to the video that you did on the Tanzu podcast about a month ago, maybe a little longer by now. That's in. It's short. It's sweet. I think it just should pretty much just be a link. So if anybody can give me a thumbs up on that, I can get that merged as long as you're cool with the approach that I took there. I also distilled some notes from the podcast in general about gaps in documentation that you all covered very nicely on the podcast. And so I added those to the issue that was filed that's in the 1.1.0 milestone, and I can elaborate those out into subtasks and start cranking through those.
Do you have a link for the PR?
Yeah, sure. Let me pull those up for you. Okay, so that's the pull request. And I'm just pulling up the issue.
I cannot see the chat. Ah, now. Okay.
And then the next link I'm dropping, that's the discussion around the Tanzu podcast.
So the first one, this is the PR.
That's the PR for the blog post.
Okay.
And it's a super short blog post just because it's mainly just an opportunity to link the video. And then the discussion about adding to docs based on the information in the podcast. That's the second link, which is the issue. Yeah, there was some stuff that I was actually surprised at that wasn't in the docs. For instance, like I thought somewhere in the docs we had a breakdown of all the different levels, like strict and audit for doing the policy when you're verifying. And we actually didn't. So I'm like, oh, that needs to be added. So that's something that shook out of the podcast, amongst some other things.
But you don't have any PR for the docs, right?
Correct. These are sort of larger changes. Like that takes a little bit more intensive writing, but there's no work done yet. The only PR I have was simply for the blog post.
Okay. Let me link that one.
I have one more point to raise, but I want to make sure that we talk through this if you want to.
Yeah. So do you plan to do any work on this and get a PR with for the documentation, or you're waiting for some open questions to resolve into discussion?
I'm not blocked by anything. It's I can start working on it. It was more a matter if anybody had any pushback or other things that they wanted. Some of it's not exactly small changes. There'll be some bigger stuff. So I have to decide if I want to break some of this out into more individualized tasks, because I don't really want a mammoth PR that just spends months in review because we go back and forth on like a bunch of disparate topics.
Yeah, I think we should break down on smaller PRs depending on where you make the changes. Okay, I will look at those things, I think, on the blog post. It's pretty simple. You said you have one more thing you want to talk about?
Yeah, I haven't been on the calls lately, and so I just want to raise this back up. I don't think this is urgent, but it is a discussion that we'll have to have with the larger engineering team, in addition to the folks on the call right now. But it's just talking about versioning of the docs when we have a subsequent release of the Notary project. It seems like what we came to the conclusion of last time was we are going to have a system style release and a doc in docs that says, hey, release 1.0.0 of the Notary project consists of these versions of all the sub projects. And we're just going to keep appending that, and we are, make it new for every version. So and then I think by extension, since the docs are for the Notary project, we should version the docs when we do a new Notary project release. And, the docs should have URLs. So you should have a /1.0.0 in the URL. You should have a /1.1.0 in the URL so that people can, get sent to the right one. And then obviously we should have a redirect that goes to the latest version. That automatically just kicks you to the latest version, but you should be able to, do some site work. We should be able to do some site work to have a drop down that gives you the previous versions. Should you want that? I've seen that done in other places. That is going to take some work. I have not been digging into that really. I don't know how soon you all were planning on versioning the next, Notary project release, but I wanted to raise it here as it's something that we'll need to do to the site, and it's going to take a little bit of work.
Yes. So first, I think we are planning a release like towards mid-November. At least that's kind of the tentative plan right now. Maybe more than one question that I have for you though. But if we go and actually let me open the Docker repository. Notary project. Okay. So in order to version that one, so do we need to go and create under content like 1.0, or where exactly do we need to first create those folders for the different versions?
So this is sort of part of the larger discussion. There's two approaches. We can either have subfolders and have everything in a single site. That's one approach. The positive side is it's pretty straightforward. It's, there's not a lot of special work we have to do. There's no DNS work we have to do. It just kind of, we add another folder and you drill down to the right spot. The downside to that is, there is some copying that has to be done. It's not terrible. You may get some issues with people editing older versions of the files. So like when we release 1.1.0, 1.1.0, people may have PRs targeting 1.0.0 files instead of 1.1.0 files. That's a potential issue. And it just, it's one of those things where I don't think it necessarily looks as clean. So that's, you can do it. It's a lot simpler. It may back us into a corner in other places. The other approach would be to handle it via branching. And that's how like OSM did it. I believe that's how Helm does it. Where what you do is all work happens in the main branch. And then when you cut a release, you create a release branch. And once you do that, that branch, no one ever targets work directly in the release branch. And then like a version of the site is published for each release branch that you have set up. So you have like a 1.0.0 branch, you have a 1.1.0 branch. Technically you can have like a main branch published for like live for everything, but usually you don't, because that's always work in progress. But that's the other approach. That requires, go ahead, sorry.
I think you answered my question, continue.
Okay. Yeah, so the downside for that is it is going to require a little bit more work, a little bit more Git maintenance. There'll have to be some netlify work that we have to do for redirection and for URLs, to make sure that like everything is handled right. I have not done a lot of work around that, so I'd have to consult with others to see the exact approach and be able to get it right. But the positive side is I think it looks a lot cleaner. It's a lot clearer for everybody making changes. You don't just have this massively growing repo for every new version. Everyone just commits to main and we cut a new release. And then, but you still do have the ability to backport a change. So like, let's say we find like a major issue with something and you have to update, latest, version N and version N-1, you could still have patches to those release branches. Those are kind of treated as special cases and exceptions rather than the regular rule. Like no one should be directly committing to those branches ever, unless it's like a specific thing that we all agree upon. So I lean, even though it's more work, I lean towards the second approach just because it's, I think it's a better way to go. I do think it is a little harder, but I think it sets us up for more success in the future. You also have to do some stuff for like, there's a little bit more complication if we want to do localization. We're set up to do it if we want to do it, but I don't know if there's a huge demand for localization at the moment. Obviously, I'd like every localization who wants to do it possible. I fully embrace that for accessibility. But yeah, that's so that's where we're at. Did you have any questions on those approaches or feedback or pushback?
No, actually, I don't. And I personally also lean towards the second one, and I see Sajay is also posting in the chat that this will be a better approach. So I would like, I would like to bring this to the Monday meeting when we have more folks there. But I would say most probably we should start actually planning for the second approach and see what needs to be done, how it can be done, get ready, because we don't have too much time until the next release, and we will need to do that relatively soon. So is that something that, Zach, you can do, or do you need any help? Who can help you?
I mean, I'll take all the help I can get. I can reach out to, internally, I can reach out to Bridget and see, I know she's done a lot of work in that area, and see what's been done from that perspective, and find out all the steps we have to take. The positive thing is I think we can do some work earlier and push it out just for like the 1.0.0 release. Since that's already out the door, there's nothing that stops us from just cutting a retroactive release branch for 1.0.0, mapping it to a URL, and then doing like a redirect with like latest, or a redirect with like a redirect with certain URLs. And that would be, the downside is you wouldn't see certain updates in the docs if we did that. Like everything between the official 1.0.0 branch and what's ever in main right now, you wouldn't necessarily see. But that is, oh shoot. Sorry, there's, I completely forgot we have blog posts.
Oh.
And the whole site is, yeah, we have blog posts. I can explore to see if we can work our way around it. I mean, worst case, we go with the first approach, which is less good, but works. But yeah, I will, that's sort of a blocker that we're gonna have to figure out. But yes, okay. I can make that highest priority and really crank on that and get us set up so that, and process is ready so that we can cut a release and do the versioning right. Yeah.
Do you think you can get some investigation by next Thursday? I know that you are not attending the Monday meetings, but if you can get some investigation by next Thursday and let's say let us know what will be possible, what the issues will be, then I can bring it up to the Monday meeting after that. I'm pretty sure that like everybody will rely on your guidance. I see Rosalind is on the call. I don't know, Rosalind, do you want to provide some help here for Zach, or how can you help if you're interested in that space?
Hi everyone. Hi everyone. Hope you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right. So yeah, I'll provide help. I think I would like to work alongside with Zach to see where I can help. Right.
Yeah. So I would say, Zach, I don't know, think of whether Rosalind can help you somehow in this space. You guys can eventually communicate offline, and if she has any availability, she can lend a hand.
Sure. Yeah. Some of this is just going to be some initial investigations and like internal repo setup, which I don't necessarily know if she'll have access to. I know I do because I'm a maintainer, but yeah, I'll start with some initial discussions. I'll see who I can reach out to tomorrow. I'm going to have some limited availability Wednesday of next week and a little bit into Thursday, but I'll be around Monday, Tuesday. So I will try to dig as deep as I can on this and come up with some sort of viable solution and next steps, and then send it over to you, Toddy, and then you can raise it at subsequent meetings.
Okay, great. Cool. Anything else, Zach, from your side?
No, I think I'll stop there.
Okay. Sajay, anything from your side? You're muted, Sajay.
Finding the unmute button. No, nothing.
Okay. And Rosalind, any agenda items from you?
No, not any.
Okay. I don't have anything. I think the maintainers have meeting today. There is a security advisory that was submitted, so we have a response prepared, and most probably after today's meeting that will be published. I won't be able to attend that meeting, so I'll rely on the rest of the maintainers actually to get the advisory kind of approved and published. So we had a discussion, I think, a couple of days ago, where we agreed on the approach. I think today is just kind of approving the text and responding to the submitter. Okay. That's all then. So thanks everyone. I'll see you next time.
Thanks, folks.